Well, partner, we're back again doing a podcast, and this is going to be pretty good. We got two special guests that have been great experience with Chesterfield County Police Department and others. Somebody or no person been with Richmond Police Department, so we'll talk about that, and some people in D.C. area with their police department. But we want to talk about things that are going on in our season, holiday season.
Yes.
Talk about some theft that's been going on. So we got the perfect two people for that.
Yeah, a lot of what the public sees that we do is enforcement. They see us writing traffic summonses and doing other things like that, directing traffic. What a lot of the public does not see is the work of our detective division, along with some of our crime analysts, as well as some of our community engagement officers. We all work together on crime issues. And one of the crime issues that we have was been trending not just here locally, but nationally and throughout the state of Virginia, are auto larcenies and property crimes, which account for a large portion of what our criminal investigations does.
Exactly. That's a whole different section of our police department units that we want to talk about and get them involved in some of the things so our citizens can be aware of securing their property, making it safe for them. And again, like we said, we got two experts in that.
Yeah, and just so our listeners know, we're going to be giving out a website so they can further help us help them. At some point, a couple times in the podcast, so they may want to be prepared to be able to write that down. Or you can have the pleasure of listening to the podcast again and catch it the second time. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. That's our first. Let's start with the sergeant first. Our sergeant, which is a good friend of mine. Julie, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Julian Hinton. I'm a good friend of Daryl. Daryl and I actually went to college together, and I'm here with Chesterfield County Police because of Daryl.
I don't know if it's really because of me, but
well, he's here.
He's here.
So he's been here 24 years, and let's be a little more specific. What?
Hampton the University.
Say it again. Let me hear it.
Hampton the University.
There you go. So you all met at Hampton University.
Yes.
And I know Sergeant Hinton, you were in the Navy for 8 years. I want to thank you for your service and being one of our former military members here in the department. Tell us a little bit more about what your career path has been since you've been in the department.
Okay, as all officers do, I started off in patrol uniform operations, now Patrol Services Bureau. Had the opportunity very early on in my career to branch out into the community policing section and as well as do part-time recruiting. My career has taken me through several paths. As Daryl mentioned, I spent some time up in the district with the Metro Transit Police Department, as well as the Uniform CIA as a security protective officer. But my majority of my law enforcement has been here with Chesterfield County, and got promoted back about 7 years ago now. Started off in patrol services, as I said, spent time there as a supervisor, went back to community engagement, and now I'm enjoying the criminal investigation side of the house in the property section.
So you're one of the supervisors that are actually in charge of the units and getting them prepared and giving them cases that go in for property crimes in our district, in our community.
Yes, that is correct. I'm one of two. I have a co-sergeant that works with me as well. But yeah, that is the gist of what I do.
Awesome.
And in addition to all the career paths, he's also served on our special response unit. We refer to it as SRU, as well as our honor guard, throughout not just here locally, but throughout our country, and honoring law enforcement officers who've been killed in the line of duty or other ceremonial events, because that's another one of the 30-some specialized units that our people have an opportunity to participate in. All right, Detective Corporal Lilly.
I'm excited about
him. Here we coming in hot right here.
I'm excited about him.
I'm Detective Guy Lilly. I came here from Richmond PD
as a lateral officer.
As a pre-cert officer. I started here in 2006. I've been here almost 18 years now. I started out like all other officers in patrol. Went up to special enforcement team, and then back to patrol, then to SRO. And then from there, I got the call to come upstairs to detective division. Started out in fraud, did fraud for a few years, and then came over to auto theft.
And this was all after you served 4 years in the Navy.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for your service as well.
Yes.
And you are also a graduate of Richard Bland Community College, as well as VCU.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
Awesome. So let's get into it. I mean, this time of the year, we do get a lot of calls for larcenies from vehicles. So I want to get into, give me where we are right now in our community to make it better and safer for citizens?
Well, I'll start off with that. The larceny from autos, as well as the larceny of autos, there are two separate crimes
Okay.
there. Larceny from autos, typically we have where a car is broken into and items are stolen from the car, as well as vandalisms and so forth. The second aspect of that, which Detective Corporal Lilly is an excellent detective in investigating, is the actual theft of the vehicle. Corporal Elliott, Corporal Anderson, mentioned it in his introduction. This has been a nationwide problem with auto theft. We've seen it regionally and we've seen it nationally, where cars beyond the pale have been stolen throughout the nation. And Chesterfield is no different. We've had a significant increase over the last year of the vehicle theft. Our detectives are working very, very, very hard to solve these crimes. We've had several areas hit over the last 4 weeks where several vehicles have been broken into, as well as vehicles being stolen. So this is not just a Chesterfield County police problem or Chesterfield County problem. This is a nationwide problem.
I know one of the things I've seen is part of what we do in policing is education, like we're doing this podcast, hopefully to educate people and reduce these crimes and to bring awareness. I know we've done Lock It or Lose It. We've had, in Chesterfield County, we have also had signboards out of our, digital signboards out of our public parks. I know that the state police has their heat program. I know that we put a lot of time into social media about this, but Detective Lilly, if you had one thing to tell people about this, what would your response be? And please don't give the exact response from the pre-show production part.
We would say, please lock your cars.
Right.
I know that's short and sweet, but if you leave items inside the car as they're doing larceny from autos, they're walking up looking in your cars. And it doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in anymore.
Right.
They're going to walk up. If they see something in your car, they're going to pull the handle. If the handle doesn't work, they're going to pick up a brick and throw it through the window.
Wow.
Costing you more and more money. Put your expensive items in your trunk or take them in your house. Please don't leave weapons in your car. Please don't get up in the morning and start your car unless you have the remote start that allows it to stay locked and unable to move. People get up in the morning, open the cars, put the key in it, turn it on. I mean, we've watched them for years leave the radio blaring, the high beams on, and the car running, and then they're gone and within 5 minutes.
And that also,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
that also includes not outside of businesses.
Right,
I know I've
exactly.
seen that
Exactly.
before. People running to get coffee at a
Yep.
local business, they leave their vehicle running,
Yep.
and then they are just shocked that it's gone when you just left something you've worked hard and put a lot of time and energy into
Yes.
providing for you and your family, then the vehicle's gone.
And literally on the video, sometimes it's less than 30 seconds.
Yes.
From the time you get out of the car till the time they get in your car and leave, it's between 20 and 30 seconds. So there's not enough. You're not quick enough to go in and get your coffee and get back to your car.
And this has been going on for years, that you not only going to get something from a store or you warming the car up, you go back into your house during the wintertime, you let your car get warm, you come back out there and the car is gone. But we have been given tips for a while. So what type of tips are you giving them now, other than just, don't leave your doors unlocked, keep your items out of your car and in plain view? People are breaking, and I thought for one time in neighborhoods it was concentrated in certain areas of the county. Now you're telling me it's all over.
It's all over the county now. The people that live on the little quiet streets who don't lock their cars, haven't ever locked their cars, they're in older neighborhoods,
Yes.
they're older people. They're like, we've never had any crime here.
Yeah.
I've lived here for 30 years, I've never had crime. Well, now crime's coming to your area.
Yes.
Most of the people that do the larceny from autos and the auto thefts are juveniles.
Yeah.
They're between the ages of 13 and 17, and they're coming into your area to do those crimes.
And they're coming from not only Chesterfield, but from the city,
They're coming from the city of
areas
Richmond
outside of
and
Chesterfield.
Rico.
Yeah,
Virginia Beach, they
Bob Beach,
travel.
yeah.
If
They
it's
travel.
a particular vehicle.
Because they have a car.
right.
We've tracked cars from here to Virginia Beach and back. I mean, we've tracked them all through the city, all through Henrico County. The Henrico, Richmond, Chesterfield area is a conglomerate that they just traveled. They know it because of social media.
Sure.
They know everybody, and they
Wow.
go back and forth to see their friends.
Are they special cars when you go from larcenies of items out of a car to larceny of a car, theft of a car? Are they choosing a specific car, or they don't care?
Well, obviously, the Hyundais and Kias are hot. It's
Okay.
all over the national news. We're telling people, and we gave away through the department some car clubs for a while. So those are out there. They're fairly inexpensive to purchase on Amazon or at your local auto parts store. You can grab those. They fit on the steering wheel, and that prevents them from driving the car away. The push-button cars, a lot of people don't realize they have a valet key, and they leave it in their center console or their glove box. So these kids, if they can get the door open, they push that button.
Yep.
And if the car starts,
Yep.
they take it.
And I would like to also elaborate on one other thing that we've seen over the last 6 months. There is technology out there now, and Corporal Lilly, if you would elaborate on this, where you have your key fob in your home, and they have the technology where they can take an antenna to pick up the signal from your key fob and steal your vehicle. We've had cases where the key fob is in the house, your car's locked, and you wake up to find your car gone. There is technology also to defeat that, where you can put your key fob in a
RFI bag.
Thank you, Elliott, and that would kill the signal to your vehicle and protect you, additional layer of protection for your vehicle. My point being is that the criminal has technology that we have to defeat, and we have to defeat it by sometimes going an extra level to do so.
Right.
Let's talk about this. So in a nutshell, people need to remove all items from the vehicle
Yep.
and keep the vehicle locked. That's number one. But we do get questions from people about how do I intercede, or if I catch someone
Yes.
breaking into my
Yes.
car,
Good point.
I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I know what our position is, but the listeners want to hear from you all who specialize in this. What is the position of interceding if you catch someone doing this?
First and foremost is the safety of life. I would strongly recommend you let us handle the criminal. That means you dial 911 and get us to respond out there. Each individual citizen, I know if it was my vehicle or if it was some other citizen's vehicle, how you would feel. But I would much rather the police handle the situation, give us a good description of what you have, give us the direction of travel if they're in a vehicle or on foot, and let us handle that call.
The other thing I'd add to that is if you can take a picture of not only the individual, but the license plate of the other vehicle that's with them, that gives us another vehicle to track and find out. We work diligently to, at very least, to recover your vehicle as fast as possible, but a lot of times we need just a little bit more information to get to where your vehicle winds up.
So most of these crimes, I would assume, are not a crime of impulse.
No.
It's not just someone walking up one of our streets and saying, hey, let me
see that
steal this
car
running
right there,
car.
yeah.
It's normally a group, multiple people, or 2 to 3 people who may possibly be doing this with transportation to get to and from.
Right.
They usually are in a stolen car that came from somewhere else to do this.
Right,
And
right.
then they're stealing and taking all the cars back, and then they're going to several locations where we regularly find stolen cars. Now, they're not always our stolen cars, but we can locate those cars.
And I know we're talking about actual cars and trucks, but there's also the element of stolen SUVs, ATVs, dirt bikes, motor scooters, and things like that.
So for those type items, the easiest thing to do is an inexpensive GPS tracker.
Right.
They're easy to attach. They either run off batteries or they can run off the battery, depending on what size ATV it is. So you may want to look into those. They're very inexpensive in this day and age to do that.
And also, we'd like if you have one of those recreational vehicles, is to know what you have, as well as the VIN numbers off of it.
Exactly.
So we can get it entered as quickly as possible and help locate it. A lot of times, people who have those, they're generational. You may have
Right.
purchased it, or maybe it was a gift. you have to have that documentation so we can put it in the network.
But people need to understand that those are generic and visual. So without that VIN number, it's hard to get theirs back to them.
Right.
Photograph it, take some pictures of it, and things like that. One of my concerns with stolen vehicles, especially this time of year with people leaving them running, are children left in cars.
Yeah.
You know, you parents maybe going to daycare, stop, like we said,
Yep.
grab a biscuit or grab something to drink, and leave your child in the backseat of that car. That's completely unacceptable.
Right.
If you're out of the vehicle, the child needs to be out of the vehicle as well.
Right.
Correct.
And we talk briefly, if we can, about carjacking. That seems to be rising, though.
We have had several here in the county, armed carjackings
Yep.
in the last couple of years. It's more unusual for us, but we have had some. We were able to recover some of those cars and
Right.
make arrests really quickly. Most cars in this day and age have, like Chevy has OnStar, BMW has BMW Assist. Most of those cars have something that's, if you get a free purchase of it when you buy your car, take advantage of it.
Yes.
Because if you don't initially set it up, even the manufacturer can't turn it on for us later.
Right.
So
Okay.
OnStar, it no longer has a cell number listed with it unless you turn it on, and you physically have to be in the car to turn it on and start it
Right.
the first time.
Okay.
So if you don't do that, OnStar can't help us track your car in the case of an emergency.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I'd like also for our listeners to know, we've talked a lot about GPS. I know some people have their own tracking systems in their more higher end cars in addition to what the manufacturer puts in there. And if they'd like to learn more about that, I would suggest contacting their insurance providers, who would be happy to help them better secure their vehicles.
Right.
Insurance companies are here to make money, not lose money, and they're also willing to help you track,
the
be
assistance
able to
that you
track your
need.
vehicle
Exactly.
and tell, hey,
Exactly.
this is what works best for our vehicle.
So when we're investigating in neighborhoods, and I always talk about the different neighborhoods, is there any change from neighborhood to neighborhood in investigating a case or different case that you have in the neighborhood? Are more cars being stolen from this neighborhood than that neighborhood?
Not really. It's pretty much spread throughout the county at this point. I mean, outlying areas like in Matoaka aren't
Yep.
getting as many stolen, but outside of that, the geographic part of it, it doesn't really matter whether it's an affluent neighborhood or not.
Okay.
They're all getting hit. And those neighborhoods with the Ring cameras and the other doorbell cameras are the ones that we can come by and collect. So we usually try to get a neighborhood canvas. We usually ride through the neighborhood of where the cars were stolen,
Awesome.
as
Yep.
well as located and try to get whatever video that we can get from
neighbors and all.
persons that we can find at home. We'll usually leave some flyers out, and that's been a fair response on those
Good,
flyers.
good,
For the
good.
neighborhood canvases.
Yeah, and the neighborhood canvas, just so our listeners know, it can be labor intensive.
Yes.
You're having to physically go to door to door to door to each one. You have to look to see if they're cameras. They're not always visible.
Right.
So our community engagement office or unit, they participate. We have a program that's called connectchesterfield.org. And basically what that does is if you are a homeowner or a business and you want to let us know that you have cameras, you simply go to that website, connectchesterfield.org, enter in the information and let us know, hey, this is my address, this is how many cameras I have. And if there's a crime, you'll receive an email or some correspondence from our intelligence unit saying, hey, during this time frame, there were this type of incident in your area. Can you check your cameras? And then you would send us the email. One of the things we want to stress is we do not have access to anyone's camera
Right.
system
Right.
with this program. So if you don't contact us, even if you see it, we would have no way. But it is a great way to try to help prevent these crimes as well as bring these people to justice for breaking into your properties.
And if I could say just one thing to that, to add to that, it's like the investigation is like a puzzle. Every little piece of the
Right,
puzzle
right.
makes a whole picture for the detectives to put together. So if you think that you have something that may help in an investigation, please do reach out to us to allow us to have access to that video.
And I always like to put in my neighborhood watch stuff. You know, that
Yes.
that is one of the best tools in the community. That because if it happens in your community, you're getting a newsletter or a email from your community leaders on trends that are going on in your community. So that's important as
Yes,
well.
that's right.
So we want our citizens to do that. But again, one thing I do love getting into is because of a stressful job that we have. I don't care what part of the unit that you work in, it's still police officer work or police work that we do. How do you relieve that stress? I know I'm a church boy. I love to go to church, and I'm a good singer too in church as well.
Right.
I am, Elliott.
I say right.
And I do love golf. So how do you
Yes,
and your
he
family,
does.
how do you and your family, that stress from leaving here after 8 hours or 9 hour shift, what do you do? Lee, I'll start with you first.
My off time, I usually go hunting or fishing. Big into fishing, so we spend a lot of time saltwater fishing. My wife hasn't fished since she was 5. She at least goes fishing with me now. Of course, she had to get some expensive fishing poles to do it, but that's all good.
Yeah.
At least she goes. So that's what we do. We
Good.
spend time with family.
Good.
Well, for me, over the years, I've learned various methods to relieve the stress. One is to try to stay physically fit and to eat right. My wife and I do like to travel. I have 2 older sons that require a lot of attention, believe it or not. So we try to visit them. But I guess the biggest thing would probably recognize the stress and do something about it.
Yes.
We have had, over the years of being here, we've seen what stress can do to marriages,
Yes.
What stress can do to the individual themselves. So I guess recognizing it and doing something about it.
Oh, good, good. Well, partner, I mean, again, excellent job, excellent information. Again, this type of crime has been going on for many, many years. And again, one thing I do take from this is I don't care where you live. If you don't do the proper things of locking your doors up or moving the items out of plain view, somebody's possibly to break into your vehicle.
Yes, and we don't want people to be victims of crime.
Exactly, because we have had guns stolen from vehicles as well, been used for other crimes.
Absolutely.
And that's a totally different story. that we
Absolutely.
need to go
And
over.
one of the things that, we talked about the importance of not confronting the perpetrators of these crimes.
Right.
But we are seeing more and more video of these perpetrators being armed.
Oh, yes, exactly.
And everywhere across the country, including our jurisdiction.
Right.
It can result in the death of an innocent person
Right.
trying to intercede,
Exactly.
and we want to prevent that. We've had that here before in the county, and we want to prevent that. It's a
Right.
vehicle. Let
It's a
it go.
vehicle.
File
Exactly.
a claim.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
not worth your life. It is not worth being run over.
Yep.
It's not worth losing your child in the backseat of your car. It may not seem serious when you see it on the news from Larceny or Otto Larcenies, but it is an absolutely serious crime.
Thank you. And guys, we thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
very
us.
much.
Taking the
Thank
time.
you for coming on short notice, less
Yeah.
than 12 hours notice, and they're here.
And you did well.
Thank you.
So, to our listeners, we'd like to remind you that we are still recruiting for Chesterfield County police officers, police service aides, and we have a lot of professional staff positions who may come available. Simply go to joinccpd.org. That's joinccpd.org to get started with your career today. And we
right.
will listen out for us on the next episode.
Awesome. Great job, guys. Partner?